Hello friends, welcome to my channel again. I am Vijay Lohar here, and in this session we are going to discuss about some firewall technology used in our router. In our previous video we have already discussed the different firewall technologies, and we have seen that there is a technology with the name packet filtering firewall. So in this session we are going to discuss about ACL, that is the firewall technology of router, which will prevent some unauthorized access to our network resource. But before applying any commands, I would like to show you this lab setup here. As you can see here, there are three different labs, that is from 192.168.0.0/24 is a remote network users, and this is your server network, and another one is here, which is the local area network for your local branch. As you can see here, there are some remote users here of this server, and there are some local user computer which is accessing your server locally. So as you can see here, there are multiple router used here, and I have already configured all the interfaces, and even I have applied some routing protocols, and they are communicating with each other. The basic configuration of router is already there. As you can see here, I am using IP root. Will show you that I have applied RIP version 2 routing protocol in all router, and they are connected and communicating with each other. So we don't have to take much time to configure this. We are just going to discuss about ACL only in this topic, in this session. So what we have to do here is, like first of all, let me know you that ACL is the firewall technology of router, and it prevent unauthorized access of our network resource. It's a line by line written rule in our router device configuration to allow or deny any request. And another important thing, that ACL use packet filtering firewall technology. It means the firewall applied in router will only verify whether the packet is from a valid source IP address and destined for a valid destination IP address. So it is not going to verify entire packet or request or data whether it is virus or something else. So it is a very fast method, but not much secure, but for the performance it is very good firewall technology. So let's proceed with some more thing here. Like ACL, there are three type of ACL we can create with our router, or there are three type of ACL rule we can create in our router. And the first one is standard ACL, and the second one is extended ACL, and the third one is named ACL. So let's proceed with the standard ACL first. So what is standard ACL? Standard ACL is the ACL type which use only source IP address to verify whether the packet is valid or not. Be careful that the standard ACL is only verify valid source address and apply the rules. We are not going to define any destination with the standard ACL, but how router will identify whether we are creating standard, extended or named ACL. Whenever we create a rule, we assign some numbers to that particular rule, and whenever your rule number varies between 1 to 99, router will assume that your rule is a standard ACL rule, and according to the standard ACL rule, router will verify only the source address of the packet and take decision according to your rule. There are two type of rule we can create, a permit rule and a deny rule. And another thing is, by default everything is allowed in router, because there is no ACL enabled by default. We have to manually enable ACL feature in our router. So everything is by default. As you can see here, I am accessing entire network. Like I would like to verify whether the connection is properly working, like ping 192.168.10.2. that must be the IP address of this computer. I am trying to access this computer, and as you can see here, this is 192.168.10.0/24 network, and I have assigned IP address 192.168.10.2 to this computer, and I am getting a reply from this computer. And now I am trying for some other computer like 3. So we are getting reply from every computer here because everything is by default allowed by the router to access our network resource. So now we are going to enable some ACL feature so that we can prevent some unauthorized user. Just assume that we have to restrict a particular computer, this one, which is having IP address of 192.168.0.2. we have to restrict this computer to access this network. So we'll have to create rules in this router because these are the remote network. We are not going to touch this thing. We just have to configure our ACL rule in our internal router, and this one is our internal organization's router. So whatever rule you can you want to create, that will be in this router. And as a network administrator, just assume that this computer is not allowed to access this network. What we have to do here, we will have to create ACL rule here. But first of all, make sure that whenever a packet comes from this computer or any request comes from this interface, it will in to your router from this interface and out from this interface, that is fast Ethernet 0/1. As you can see here, 0/1 is the fast Ethernet port for LAN, and serial 0/0 is the interface where your request will enter your router. So during applying any ACL rules, you'll have to very careful about the interface. Like as you can see here, your router is having three different interface, that is serial 0, serial fast Ethernet 0/1 and fast Ethernet 0/1. This one is fast Ethernet 0/0 and this one is serial 0/0. So you can assume that these all interface are a logical door whenever a packets come to the router. So first of all, make sure that whenever a packet comes, if this computer send any request to the network, this network, outside network, it will comes from this interface and it will out from this interface. So this interface is incoming interface for this computer, as well as this interface is the outgoing interface for this computer. But according to this computer, when any request sent from this computer, serial 0/0 will be the incoming interface and this interface will be the outgoing interface to access this network. So whenever you are going to apply some ACL rule, you make sure that you are applying your rule in a proper interface so that it works very effectively. So let's proceed with the ACL creation. First of all, enable your system and configure terminal, and we are going to type some command for creating ACL route like access list 1. I have already defined that whenever ACL number varies from 1 to 99 or 1300 to 1999, router will assume that the rule is a standard ACL rule, and it will verify only the source address of the packet and take decision whatever we have defined. We will define here like ACL 1. What rule we want to create? Deny whom host 192.168.68.0.2 is the IP address of this computer. As you can see here, I have created a rule with the number 1. That means I am creating a standard ACL, and I have defined that the host 192.168.0.2. I am not defining any destination address to whom it will be denied to access. I am just assigning the source address from the request from where the request will initialize. So whenever any request initialize from or starts from this IP address, whatever will be the destination, the action will be taken like to deny. But where to deny? Whether to in or whether to out. If we apply this rule, at this point, router will not allow any request from this computer to enter to this or this network. So the so this computer will not able to access this both network. So where the suitable interface is, that is this one, so that any request comes from this computer will in from this interface, go through this network, but that will be restrict or deny to access this network. So router will in from serial and out from fast Ethernet. So we will have to restrict this request from this computer to out from this interface. So when we have created an ACL rule like access list 1 deny host 192.168.0.2, we will have to type the second command access list 1, that is the same rule, that is going to allow or permit any other. It defines that access rule number 1 defines that to deny host 192.168.0.2 and a part of 192.168.0.2, all other will be permitted. So what we have to do next here is, I have created rule, but it will not effective right now because we haven't assigned this rule should be applied for this interface or this interface or this interface. So first of all, make sure that which interface will be very proper to apply this rule. So I think this interface will be better because we just have, in our scenario, we have to restrict this computer to access this network only, and computer can pass to this interface. Computer can access this network but cannot access this network. So I'm going to configure. We have already configured rule number 1. You have to just remember that rule number why we have created here. And now configure terminal interface fast Ethernet 0/1. I am going to that interface which is connected with your network. Like as you can see here, this one is 0/1, fast Ethernet 0/1. So I am applying rule and I am accessing this interface, and now I will use command IP access group 1. We have to define whether to restrict to out or to in. We will have to define that don't let this IP address to out from this interface. So using this command, we just define our router that rule number 1 should be applied in fast Ethernet 0/1 and don't let out any request from this address. As we have created deny, so whenever packet comes from 192.168.0.2, that will be denied. But where to deny? Whether to in or whether to out from this interface or whether to out from this interface. So I have used command IP access group 1 rule number 1 to out. So this rule will apply at this point, and this rule will not allow to request from any request from this computer to out from this interface. So let's verify if I am accessing, or earlier we have used command ping 192.168.10.3 here. Let's verify it. As you can see here, I am not getting reply. We are getting reply like destination host unreachable, because this computer is restricted to out from this interface, and that is not going to access any of this computer, because we according to the standard ACL rule, only the source address will be verified if it is from a valid source or destination, or from an invalid host or destination. Like we have used command access list, as you can see here, access list 1 rule number 1. You can assign any rule number from 1 to 99 and 1300 to 99. Deny, we have created a deny rule, and host, this one is denied to access your interface fast Ethernet 0/1 to out. So once I remove this rule again, like you just can like as you can see here, I have just used earlier this command to apply rule in interface. I'm just adding no before command line IP access group 1 out, and it will be removed from this interface. But there is still your rule, but that is not applied in any interface. So now it should be connected. As you can see here, I am getting reply from this computer. Again, I am going to apply this rule and verify again. Now I'll get this destination host unreachable. So again, I am removing this from the interface, no IP access group. Just you have to rewind command, you just add no in any command and that will be reversed. So now again we can check that we are getting reply, and now again I am applying that rule to interface, and now again if we verify, we are getting destination host unreachable. So this rule is working here, but let's verify if this computer is accessing this network. So what is the IP address of this system? As you can see here, that is IP address 192.168.168.2. let's verify if we are getting any reply. Ping 192.168.168.2.2, and we are getting reply from this computer. Right now this computer is not accessing 10 dot network, but the computer is accessing 68 dot network here, because we have applied rule here. But if you want to restrict this computer to access both this and this network, we can remove this rule from fast Ethernet using command no IP access group 1 out, and I will apply this into interface serial 0 by 0 and IP access group 1, don't let him in. So now I'm trying to access both network again. As you can see 60.2, even this network is not accessible right now, destination host unreachable, and even this network is destination host unreachable, because the request from this computer is not going to in from this interface as we have created. So same rule, we can remove it here. We can remove it here by just adding no before your last command. And again, if we verify the connectivity now, 68.2 I am getting reply, and 10.3 I am getting reply. So once I have removed this interface, this rule from the interface, I am again getting reply from both interface. So if in a case you have to restrict this computer to access this network, and you want to allow this computer to access any resource from this computer or this network, you can apply this rule at fast Ethernet 0/0 to out. So let's verify. Exit. We have already created rule number 1, so that is in our configuration. So we have to just access our fast Ethernet 0 by 0, which is connected with the server department, and now I am allowing IP access group 1 to out. I am restricting this computer to access this network to out. I am restricting this computer to out from this interface, but it can access this network. So let's verify it. I am trying to connect 10 dot network. Yes, I am getting reply. 10 dot network is this one, but it should be denied to access 62 network. As you can see here, I am getting destination host unreachable. So you can create a rule and can apply in a multiple interface for a particular host. Now proceed for the further, and we will see that if you want to, I am just removing this command for the next option, like for the next example. Now we have restricted a single computer to access a particular network or particular subnet, or restricting entirely to access any other interface. So what next we have to do here is just assume that you have to restrict entire network to restrict a particular network or particular interface. So let's verify it. We are going to create some rules for the entire network. We have just used command host to restrict a particular host. As you can see here, I have created rule access list deny host. It was the rule for a particular computer. Now I want to restrict entire network to restrict to access this computer, and now we will create some other rule here. Exit from this interface. Now I have removed every rule from the router interface, so definitely everyone is accessing network. Like if I'm trying to access 192.168.168.2, yes, we are getting reply, and 10.2, even this network is accessible for every computer. So we want to restrict entire network to access this network right now. So I am going to create second rule here, configure terminal access list 2 deny 192.168.0.0, and the wildcard you will have to assign here wildcard number 0.0.0.255, that is 0.0.0.255, and this is the wildcard which defines router which portion of IP header should check before taking deny as a action. So this 30 define that first 3 octal must mandatorily match for the incoming request and then take a decision to deny, and this 255 defines that whatever will be at the fourth position, that will be ignored and will be take decision to deny. So you will have to calculate your wildcard number. This is not a very tough job, because you can if you have to calculate your wildcard mask for this computer, like 255.255.255.0 is the subnet mask for this network. You just have to subtract 255.255.255.255. You will have to subtract your subnet mask from this address, that is 255.255.255.255, and you will get your wildcard number. So the wildcard number will be 255.255. 0.0.0.255, and this will be your wildcard. So whenever you are going to calculate your wildcard number, you just subtract your subnet mask from 255.255.255.255, and you will get your wildcard number, and all the zeros in wildcard defines that portion of IP address only will be enough to verify whether the packet is valid or not. So I am going to configure ACL here. As you can see here, we have used command access list 2 deny 192.168.0.0, and the wildcard number is 0.0.0.255. It means whenever a packet comes with this 192.168.0, the action will be taken. Router will not need to verify the fourth octal with whatever it is, whether it is 2, 3, 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever number is. So the second thing is, a part of this range we will have to allow others using command permit any. I have created rule. Now we have to decide where to apply this rule. If we apply this rule at this point, entire network will not be able to access this network or this network. If we apply this rule at this point, entire network will not be able to access server network, but they can connect this network. But if I apply rule number 2 at this point, entire network of this network will not be able to access the resource from this computers, but they can access your server resource. So first of all, I'll show you by applying configure terminal interface serial 0/0, as I am applying this rule at this point, so that the entire network cannot access this boost network. I'll use command IP access group to, not to, in. Don't let this request from this range to in at this point. So let's verify. We have just checked our connectivity using command this one, and now we are getting destination host unreachable. If I try from other computer, even now I will not be able to ping 192.168.10.2. yes, destination host unreachable, and 168.2 for server network. Even I am not able to access that network because we are getting destination host unreachable. So all the computers are now restricted to in at this router, so that they cannot connect with this or this network. So let's verify some other example. I am just removing this this access list from serial, and again if I am trying to connect like 10.2, yes, I am getting reply. And if I try for 68.2, even we are replying. All the computers are now able to connect your server. Now as you can see here, 68.2 we are getting reply, and 10.2 even we will get reply from 10.2, because we have just removed rule number 2 from serial, but that is still in our configuration but not applied in interface. So if I am going to apply this rule at this point, rule number 2, these computers will be not be able to access this network, but they can connect with this server. And if I apply rule number 2 at this point, computers remote network, remote computers will not be able to access this network, but they can connect with this computer. So this is not a very tough to configure in your router. You can verify what kind of rule you have created, like show access list. As you can see here, so access list is the command. We have as you can see here, the name standard IP access list, rule number 1, and deny host 192.168.0.2, and the request 28 matches, and permit rule is there, and standard list 10 deny 192.168.0.0. with this we have created, and permit IP any. So what we have to do here is, let's verify which interface is having any ACL enabled. Here is so running configuration. As you can see here, when you go to your interface setting, fast Ethernet, and now you have created these rules, and as you can see here, there is nothing is configured a part of IP address at serial 0/0. Let's verify if we are connecting. Yes, and if I applied this ACL rule here, configure terminal interface fast serial 0/0 and IP access group 2 out in, and now exit. So IP interface brief, you can see, show running configuration, you will see at this point. Just press your space bar button, and you will see that interface fast Ethernet 0/0 with the IP address, this one is having enabled ACL rule number 2. So you can verify your ACL rules applied in your interface by using command show running configuration. You just press your space bar button, and you will get the entire detail of your interface configuration, and you can get your ACL number here, and you have applied your RIP version with this network, and all things are there. So you can easily manage your router and unauthorized user to access your network resource using ACL, standard ACL, but to make sure that it is only from only restricts an IP packet only on the basis of source address. So you are not going to define a particular, like a situation is you want to restrict this computer to access particular this computer. You cannot create this rule using standard ACL, because you are not going to define any destination address for the in your rule. Or if you want to restrict entire network to access particular this server, you will not be able to create such rules using standard ACL rule. So what rule we will create to restrict such in such situation, that then we will have to configure our extended ACL, that is ACL the second ACL type, and the third one will be named ACL. But in this session we have seen only the standard ACL. I hope you have made some better concept about firewalling and ACL rules. If you like this video, keep watching and do share with your friend. In our next video we will see how to apply extended ACL and how does that works. And keep watching and sharing our video, that definitely appreciate us to upload much more video. Thank you for watching. Till next video, bye bye.